Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Hope Valley woke up to the kind of morning that didn't feel ordinary, even by the town's sentimental standards. The first glow of the 2025 sun shimmered across the snow-tipped rooftops, casting long, golden reflections on the windows of the row houses that lined the quiet path toward the school, the cafe, and the Mountie office. Something unusual was happening here this year. Something that even the most longtime residents whispered about with a mix of excitement and worry. By now, everyone sensed that Hope Valley was standing on the edge of a year more unpredictable, more emotional, and more transformative than anything they had lived before. The biggest murmurs began early in the morning. Long before the bell rang at the schoolhouse, rumors had already spread that Hope Valley was about to receive a visitor no one had expected. Not a long-lost relative of a familiar face. Not a dignitary from Capital City, but someone connected to the earliest foundation of the town itself. A figure who was said to be carrying a stack of letters that dated back nearly 2 decades, letters written by Hope Valley's earliest settlers that had never been read, sealed away after a mining disaster, stored by someone who had promised to deliver them when the town was ready. And now, apparently, that moment had come. The surprising visitor was scheduled to arrive on the afternoon train, which had the whole town buzzing. Even Elizabeth found herself glancing toward the station in between lessons, wondering what secrets these old messages might reveal. She knew better than most that Hope Valley's past wasn't just history, it shaped the present in ways both tender and painful. The idea that new pieces of that history were about to resurface filled her with equal parts curiosity and uncertainty. But while the mystery visitor dominated the early gossip, he wasn't the only source of excitement. Nathan had started the new year with an unusual shift in mood. The calm, steady Mountie that everyone knew had taken on a certain sparks, something people noticed before he even said a word. Those who passed him outside the office couldn't help but feel that he was holding on to something big. Something he hadn't shared yet, but something that clearly mattered. Even Elizabeth caught him smiling at moments when there was no obvious reason. The townspeople had opinions, of course. Ned was convinced Nathan had received some sort of surprising promotion, while Molly predicted it was something of the heart. Florence simply narrowed her eyes and added, "I think we'll know soon enough. Men can only keep things secret for so long." But the truth was something Nathan was still sorting through himself. What he had received was not a promotion or a reassignment. It was a letter from the Mountie headquarters, confirming a long-considered but never acted-on possibility. An offer to lead a new regional outpost being built far north. A place isolated, dangerous, and in desperate need of strong leadership. Nathan hadn't accepted or declined. Not yet, because accepting meant leaving Hope Valley behind. And leaving Hope Valley meant leaving Elizabeth Alley, and everything he had finally come to believe could be home. While those silent decisions simmered inside him, something equally unexpected was taking shape across town. The old foundry building, long abandoned, long ignored, had somehow caught the attention of investors from Union City. What had been nothing more than a dusty memory of the town's industrial beginnings was suddenly being discussed as the potential site for a new innovation workshop. A place where mechanical devices, agricultural tools, and early models of energy-saving equipment could be produced. It was the kind of project that could transform Hope Valley's economy, bringing jobs while also creating tensions between the town's old-fashioned, its charm, and its growing desire to modernize. Lucas, now settled into a calmer, more intentional rhythm of life, had been quietly approached to oversee the business side of the operation. But while he was flattered, he wasn't sure what accepting it would mean. He was still finding his footing after a difficult chapter, and the thought of stepping back into high-stake negotiations after deliberately choosing to step out of the spotlight felt both thrilling and risky. There was a part of him that craved a quieter existence, one defined by meaningful friendships rather than political agendas. And yet, there was another part of him, the ambitious dreamer, who wondered if this opportunity was the very thing that could help him rediscover a sense of purpose. But the potential arrival of the innovation workshop caused mixed reactions among the townspeople. Rosemary, in particular, had thoughts, plenty of them, and wasted no time expressing them in her latest editorial. She wrote passionately about the importance of progress, but also warned about the danger of losing the heart of the town's identity from the moment her article was printed. Hope Valley found itself split into two camps: those who believed modernization was necessary for survival, and those who feared a future where the town's charm became nothing but a printed memory in an outdated newspaper. Lee saw the situation differently. He recognized the opportunity not just for progress, but for mentorship. With the right leadership, the workshop could become a place where local youth learned trades that would benefit the community for generations. He began quietly drafting a proposal that suggested integrating apprenticeship programs, educational partnerships with the school, and community oversight to keep Hope Valley's values intact. He wanted the workshop to be a symbol of opportunity, not change for change's sake. While the debate simmered, the town's emotional core was being pulled in yet another direction. Faith, who had spent the last few months focusing on her clinic and rediscovering her sense of purpose, received news from the Medical Association that left her shaken. A new pediatric wing was being built in Brookfield, and they wanted her to oversee it not temporarily, but for a long-term appointment. It was the kind of offer that would advance her career significantly, but it also meant leaving the town she'd come to love, leaving her patients, leaving her friends, and leaving a version of herself she had fought hard to reclaim. Faith wrestled with the question privately, trying to decide whether Hope Valley needed her more, or whether she needed to allow herself to step into a role she had once only dreamed of. She thought deeply of the lives she had touched here, little moments, quiet victories, emotional goodbyes I'd wondered if she had done enough to finally let go. But some part of her felt rooted here, as if the town itself had become a piece of her story she wasn't sure she was ready to end. Meanwhile, Elizabeth sensed a shifting energy in her classroom as well. Her students were more distracted than usual, whispering and smiling behind their books whenever she turned her back. She assumed they were simply excited about the visiting historian and the old letters set to be delivered. But she later discovered something else entirely. A group of parents had secretly organized a large appreciation ceremony for her upcoming 10-year anniversary of teaching in Hope Valley. They wanted to honor her impact, her compassion, her influence on 2 generations of children. But they planned to surprise her, so the kids were sworn to secrecy. Impossible task for children, but somehow managed, through some combination of enthusiasm and fear that Florence would find out if anyone slipped. But even that remarkable. Celebration wasn't the biggest emotional turn awaiting Elizabeth. As she walked home one chilly afternoon, she discovered a small satchel left on her porch. No note, no signature. Inside was something she had never expected to see again: a journal belonging to her late husband, Jack. A journal she believed had been lost years ago during the move from their old cabin. The moment she opened the cover, she felt like she was stepping back into a life she had both cherished and grieved, all in one breath. The journal wasn't full, but the entries that remained were raw. Tender, honest reflections written during the early days of their marriage. Some pages were half-finished, some full of dreams they'd planned to pursue together. But the final entry stopped her heart. It wasn't from Jack. It was from someone else entirely. Someone who had apparently found the journal after the accident and kept it safe for years. Unsure of whether returning it would reopen wounds that had taken so long to heal, the discovery struck Elizabeth deeply. She sat by the fire that night, reading each page slowly, allowing the memories to wash over her, not with sorrow, but with a sense of closure she never realized she still needed. But the presence of the unknown writer with the final note raised more questions. Who held on to the journal? Why now? And what did they hope to accomplish by sending it? While Elizabeth wrestled with these personal revelations, the afternoon train finally arrived, carrying the mysterious visitor whose story had set the whole town buzzing. A man in his late 60s stepped onto the platform, carrying a weathered suitcase and a wooden box secured with thick rope. His arrival felt strangely significant, like a piece of the town's forgotten past had suddenly stepped into the present. He introduced himself simply as a historian, But his eyes suggested he knew Hope Valley far more personally than he let on. When he met with the town council later that evening, he opened the wooden box and revealed the sealed letters, each envelope labeled with a date from decades past, each one addressed to the earliest families who had shaped the foundation of the community. The letters documented everything: stories of resilience, confessions of love, regrets, warnings.